I can't remember the last time I felt real joy. Maybe when I was a child, maybe when I was still a teenager, but as time went on, the feeling just disappeared. I tried to find a way out of this impasse, desperately searching for a path to happiness that seemed to be somewhere out there, beyond the horizon. I tried everything: medication, counseling, meditation, yoga, hobbies, new hobbies. I thought that if I could find something that would make my life interesting, meaningful, it would bring me welcome relief. I tried to surround myself with people who seemed like they could add light to my dark reality, and at one point I even felt like something would change. But no matter how hard I tried, nothing gave me what I was looking for. Every time I thought that here it was, the solution, I found myself in the same void as before. I kept going, but with each step I realized, the more I tried, the farther away the feeling of happiness became. It's like running after the wind, feeling it on your skin but unable to catch it. And the longer I kept searching, the more I doubted that this search even made sense. Yes, there are moments when I laugh, when everything seems light, when the world seems brighter than usual. There are even days when I feel part of something bigger, when life seems almost magical. But it's never the feeling they talk about when they talk about true happiness. It's not the peace that I thought was supposed to come with age. It wasn't the genuine joy I saw on the faces of others when they talked about how lucky they were, how happy they were. It was like I was always at a distance from that state, an observer, not a participant. I could be a part of something that looked like happiness, but always remained outside of that feeling. Sometimes, revisiting old photos, I can almost physically feel that emptiness following me from the beginning. In one of the pictures, I'm about 4 or 5 years old. I'm smiling, but that smile seems dead, like it's just a gesture copied from others, but not my real response to the world. My eyes, for all their childlike naivete, reflect some knowledge of pain even then, as if I already knew that the world would not be so simple. That look, it doesn't scream happiness. It doesn't have that pure childlike joy that children should have. It's like a shadow that has been creeping into my life since the beginning, leaving some inescapable mark. Like I sensed from the beginning that something was wrong. Like I was doomed to this strange distance from real emotion, even in those moments when it seemed like things should be different. That I grew up in a world where pain and loneliness were integral companions to every day. In school, I wasn't just an outcast, I was a target for bullying. I was beaten, called names, bullied at every turn. And those torturous days seemed endless. I tried to hide within myself, trying to ignore these words, these looks, but the more I tried to ignore, the deeper they sunk into my soul. Every morning was like a battle I couldn't win. But that was just the beginning. When I went home, I hoped there would be at least some peace, at least some warmth. But what awaited me at home was not love, but an even bigger struggle. My mother seemed to see me as nothing but a burden. Every day I heard the same words: "You ruined my life. I would have been better off if you hadn't been born." These words didn't just hurt, they erased my worth, as if I wasn't a person but a failed project. And sometimes, when I couldn't take her anger, when I tried to pull myself out of this abyss, she would strike me. Once, in one of those moments, she hit me so hard that I passed out from the pain. And instead of feeling sorry for me, she yelled that I should have been more obedient. As if my pain was just punishment for her displeasure. I looked at it as an inevitability. I was sure it wouldn't stop, that it was my destiny to live in this circle where every step was accompanied by humiliation and cruelty. I was even beginning to believe that I didn't deserve love or respect. Everything I felt was an encumbrance, as if I was a mistake that no one wanted. I didn't know what it was to be protected or cared for, and I honestly thought that's what the world was like, cold and ruthless. I remember those moments sitting in the corner of my room, trying to hide from a reality where no one loved or wanted me. These moments became something normal to me, and I thought that maybe this is how it should be. As if all this pain and loneliness was just a part of my life that I had to come to terms with. When I turned 11, I was sent to live with my cousin, hoping that it would make some difference in my life. I thought that maybe if I was in another family, where I would at least be cared for, I would feel a little safer. But alas, it was much worse. He didn't see me as a person. He saw me as a weak, helpless creature to be manipulated and humiliated. He did horrible things to me, things you can't forget, even when you want to. And every time afterward, he blamed me as if I wanted to do it myself. It was terrifying. I felt like I was losing what was left of my dignity, and the worst part was that I had no one to ask, no one to find support from. I was completely alone in this nightmare. My family had turned their backs on me. They didn't know what was happening, but they didn't want to know. Their eyes were closed to my suffering. I was like invisible to them, like everything that was happening to me didn't matter. I tried to tell them, but I didn't know how to explain it. I was so lost and confused that I couldn't even articulate what was happening to me. Eventually I accepted it because I didn't know how else to fight it. And then years later, when it was all long buried in the depths of my soul, I had to face the most horrible truth. I learned that all those years while I was suffering, my family thought it was my fault. They believed that I was making things up on my own, that it was all happening because of me. It wasn't until he was caught that they finally said, "I'm sorry, it was him, not you." The words that were supposed to set me free actually only added to the pain. I was in total shock. It was like a knife in the back, because I had carried this weight of guilt for so many years, while they hadn't even tried to understand what was really going on with me. I didn't know what to do about it, how to live with that knowledge, how to come to terms with the fact that the people who were supposed to love me had believed for so long that I was at fault and left me alone with this hell. It was impossible to comprehend. The feeling of betrayal was unbearable. After all I had been through, I ended up at my grandfather's house. It seemed that this should have been the moment when I would finally find some support, some corner where I would be accepted, where I would feel at least a little bit safe. But at that moment I realized that even among the people closest to me I would not find peace. My grandfather greeted me coldly, as if I were just an alien detail in his life. His words to me once echoed in my memory as the hardest blow I could have received. He looked at me, and there was no warmth or compassion in his voice. "You will never be someone of significance. You will always be a parasite to society," he said. Those words sounded like a judgment. Not just pain, not just resentment, it was like a shot to the heart that wouldn't let me forget that I was just a mistake, an extra person. How can you believe you're worth anything after that? How can you think that you have a chance to change something when you are taught from childhood that you are not worthy of love or respect? Those words became my internal label. They stuck to me like a shadow, and I carried them with me every day, every moment, not knowing how to get rid of them. They became my inner voice, the one that kept telling me, "You can't be the best, you can't be normal, you can't be what you want to be." It's been years. Outwardly, things have changed. I have a job that many only dream of, a career that I once thought was unattainable. I bought a car that was on my wish list back in my teenage years, and now it sits in the garage, gleaming in the sun. I have friends who are supportive, people I can laugh and talk to, coworkers who tell me I'm good at my job. And if someone had told me I'd achieve that, back in that dark time of my childhood, I probably wouldn't have believed it. Everything would have to be perfect. Everything was going to work out. I even went to therapy. We started working on myself, step by step, and while I can't say I'm cured, I've made some progress. I learned how to deal with those demons that once literally consumed me. I've learned to let go of old traumas and forgive people. But something's wrong. Something remains elusive. All these external successes, all these accomplishments, they don't give me the feeling I expected. I've been searching for so long, hoping for so long that I would someday feel alive, filled with joy and fulfillment. But inside, there is emptiness. I keep doing what is expected of me, keep working, keep meeting people, but it all feels like a game that I find no meaning in. I'm living, but I don't feel like I'm living. It's like I'm standing behind a glass wall, watching what's going on around me, but I can't be a part of the world myself. Maybe I stopped expecting joy to be something permanent a long time ago. Maybe I've gotten used to living with this emptiness because it's become a part of me. But the more I strive to feel even a small spark of happiness, the further it eludes me. I can smile, I can laugh, but I'm still empty inside. Yes, I can laugh. I can have conversations. I can participate in life like everyone else. I can do all these things that seem to make people come alive. I can be part of the world. It keeps moving and I move with it. But there is an emptiness inside me. It doesn't disappear, it doesn't get lighter. It's as if I'm an actor who is playing a part in someone else's movie, but can't feel myself in the role. Sometimes, to be honest, I think that if I didn't exist, if I just disappeared, no one would have any regrets. I don't want to die, but I don't want to live either. Sometimes when I wake up, I feel like I don't care what happens next. I don't care if I don't wake up tomorrow, or if there is no tomorrow at all. It's not depression in its usual sense, it's more like a state of complete lack of desire, like I've lost touch with what should have mattered. It's hard to admit, but it's true. It sounds awful, doesn't it? And it really is awful. At times like this, I feel like I'm just a shell, doing my chores and living out of inertia but feeling nothing real. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know how to reclaim myself, how to find what may have once been in me. But I keep trying. I try to be a better person, every day, despite the emptiness, despite this coldness that's inside. I hope that one day it will lead to something real. That maybe one day I'll be able to feel even a small spark, some feeling not external, not for the sake of others, but something that will be mine, real and alive. But for now, I keep going. Simply because I don't know any other way. I know that I am not alone. Sometimes it feels like you are alone in this emptiness, that no one will understand what you are going through, that no one can understand what it is like to be in such silence, when the whole world is buzzing around you, and you are standing in the center of this storm, but you cannot enter it. But I know that there are other people who feel the same way, who struggle with the same demons, with the same dark corners of their thoughts. And if you're reading these words, if you're here, that means we're not alone. We are together, even if we can't feel it. I'm sending you my love, even if you can't feel it right now. Know that I understand what it's like to stand on the edge and not know where to go. How it is to not have the strength to move forward, but to keep taking steps, if only simply because you can't stop. I understand what it's like to struggle with that loneliness inside yourself and not knowing what to do when every day is like the day before. But I want you to know that if you hang in there, if you have even a little faith that something better is possible, that there can be a way out, then it's already a victory. You and I are not alone in this struggle. And if you can imagine, even for a moment, that someday it will be better, that you can feel even a small spark of joy, then maybe that's the beginning of the journey. I will continue to work on myself. I will continue to find how to awaken myself from this apathy, how to find myself. And I hope you'll keep going too. Because maybe it is in these small steps that we will someday find the path that will lead us to the life we dream of. Don't give up. I will hold on. And maybe together we can find the light that seems so far away, but that maybe has always been inside of us. Thank you for watching this video. I would appreciate it if you put a like and subscribe to the channel, as most likely this is not the end of the story. Before meeting,